Okay, so this is the Soul Podcast, the Sunday source of usefulness, light, love, and laughter. So the purpose of this podcast is simple. Sundays are a day to relax. This is a day when you are relaxed, and it's good to spend this day, or at least begin this day, with something which is useful and comes from a context of light, love, and laughter. So without much ado, let's begin. Right. So hopefully this is going to be useful for you. I am going to share my screen and then we can begin. By the way, this is an open podcast, not only limited to our group. So any set of people can join. You're happy. I think some people had asked me the last time whether people can join from outside, and yes, people can join from outside. We will try to get all these videos recorded and then also uploaded on a YouTube channel, and then this is also available for anybody and everybody. But for those who have this, so while others will see it on a recorded platform, the folks who have the link over here will also be able to join in live and then ask some questions if that is required. So we'll try to keep this useful, and hopefully the conversations are going to be also useful. All right, so with this day we are going to talk about the wealth equation. This is part 2, the rules, mechanics, and the discipline of becoming wealthy. And here we are going to talk about lessons from the wealthy. So in my life, about 30 years of working, I have had the opportunity to interact with some of the very wealthy people, and have had the opportunity to interact with them and see what it is that they do and understand some of the stuff that they do. So I'll be sharing this with you, and hopefully this will, you can follow and become, wealthy. But first, before we begin, I mean, there might be some people who are joining for the first time, and so we'll do a quick recap of what we did the last time, because the wealth equation part 1, which was done the last Sunday, laid some of the theory behind becoming wealthy. So we'll just quickly go through what that theory is, and then have conversations there, on top of that. Okay, so quickly, knowledge is know-how. And without knowledge, it is difficult to be wealthy. So you should know what is the mechanics, what are the equations, what are the factors that drive you to become wealthy. And the fact is, everybody can become wealthy, especially if they know they have the know-how. And this is about that. It is an attempt to provide you with something which will spread light in your life and love and laughter. It is also important to know that a large income does not mean rich. We talked a lot about it in the last podcast. There were people who generated a lot of money and then landed up being paupers or without or bankrupt. Interestingly, rich also does not mean wealthy. So we are going to talk about what does it mean to be wealthy. All of this stuff is not taught in schools and colleges. At least I didn't get to learn about this, and I come from a very, very privileged background. I definitely think that I've had a very, very privileged life. I went to the best schools and colleges in the country, and yet this was not something which was talked about. In schools and colleges, typically they will talk about stuff which is largely, not useful in our lives. And this stuff is about understanding the role of money, wealth, economics, and which is extremely useful for everybody. So I have acquired this understanding over 30 years of my work life, and I share this. So what I know now, so that you can benefit, you don't make the same mistakes that I did. And I also know that if I knew this when I was starting, or I was as young as most of the people on this podcast, I would have been very wealthy by the time, I was even hitting late 30s. However, I'm not an expert. I'm still learning. I invite you to understand, and question and disagree, if you will, from whatever it is that I'm saying, and have this discussion with me so that I also benefit and from your questions and from whatever those questions and debates are going to lead to. Okay, so there are 5 equations that we talked about or in the last podcast. So first equation is income by expenses. If it is greater than 1, then you are rich. If income by expense is less than 1, then you are poor. This is the first one, right? So which means that if your income is more than your expenses, then you become rich. If your income is less than your expenses, then you are poor. This is true for an individual or a family or for a group or for a company, any organization or even a country. So if your income is greater than your expenses, then you have an attempt to become, then you can become rich. And if you are rich, then it's a necessary condition for you to become wealthy. Without becoming rich, you cannot become wealthy. Okay, so why is this equation important? The equation is very, very important because this lays the foundation for freedom. And I'm going to talk about how does it do that. Okay, so now it is also important to understand this equation because, people might think by this equation, okay, so I'm drawing XYZ salary. So the only way I can be rich is if I increase my income. Now the fact is that in these 2 variables, income is something which is dependent on others. There must be a company which is willing to give you, a larger income. You must move, and it takes time. Finally, you'll get an income basis your skills and knowledge. But expenses are things which are 100% within your control. So one of the things that we talked about the last time is that there are types of expenses which are considered to be fundamental, is like food, water, and shelter. Some security with respect to insurances. Those are expenses which are absolutely necessary, and you need to spend on them. But over there also you can reduce them. So expenses are 100% within your control. Today you might think that we need to have a bike or a car or a vehicle, etc. But I know that just a few decades ago, my grandfathers would go to office on a cycle, save on petrol. I mean, they didn't have a scooter or a bike, etc. They would do 10 kilometers either way. Similarly, in China as well, when I went to China in around the 1999 2000 time frame, over there also large number of people were using bicycles to travel to work. Similarly, where you eat, how much do you eat outside, etc., what kind of clothes you wear, you can, if you want, save. People watch movies, they spend on a movie on popcorn, etc., etc. A movie would cost per person maybe around $1,000. And well, the fact is that you can get all of that movie if you have the ability to wait. Then most of these movies would appear on the internet after some time, or some of these new channels that have appeared now. So entertainment also can practically be free. Now income, the third equation is that your income is made up of 2 parts. One is active income, and then there is passive income. AI over here does not mean either artificial intelligence or actionable intelligence. It is active income and passive income, combined gives you total income. Now the fact is that when you start your careers, you are unlikely to have passive income. I didn't have it. Most people in India won't have it unless they belong to the very, very rich and are children of come from very wealthy and rich backgrounds. Most people will only have an active income. PI is going to be 0. But the day you start working, or the month that you start working, you can start so that start acquiring the ability to create passive income. And we're going to talk about that. Now, what makes a person wealthy? A person is wealthy by definition. This is called the wealth equation. If your passive income is greater than your expenses, not only in the current but also in the future. So if your passive income by expenses are greater than 1, then you are called wealthy. It means that you don't need to actively work. If you were at home for whatever reason, you're ill, or you just choose not to work, even then your expenses will be taken care of by the passive income that you're earning. And there are ways and means in which you can do. And this is the podcast. This is part 2. We are going to talk about how to do that. The third one, the final one, is the equation which is called the compounding equation. Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world. And you will see, as we go along in this podcast, why this is called the eighth wonder. It just is magical. It is magic. FV stands for future value of money. PV stands for present value of money. And rate, and R is the rate of interest or compounding that you are earning on the money invested. And N is the number of periods in which it is being compounded. This rate of return is applicable. Okay, what are the implications of these equations? Again, this is something that we talked about the last time. And these are the 11 commandments, if you will. I'm just going to quickly run through this. Be devoted to your profession. This is the start point. This is what you need to do, which will help you to achieve a higher active income. Learn and excel in your chosen profession. There are people who say that you should follow your dreams and follow your passion and so on and so forth. Now, your profession is not that. You might have a dream that you will you want to become a scuba driver, or there's this movie called Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. So people leave everything and just run off to exotic places and so on and so forth, because Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Well, there is the story of the ant and the grasshopper. The grasshopper was always singing and dancing in the sun. The ant, however, continued to work diligently through the year. When the winter came, the grasshopper almost died because of poverty. It had not collected anything. The ant, however, diligently through the period when the sun was shining, it was collecting stuff, and it had a great winter, so it survived. So your profession is what you think you can be really good at. It could be even making shoes. It could be making tea, for example. There are huge businesses which are only built on tea and coffee. Cafe Coffee Day, for example. Billion-dollar businesses. Just if you know what you can excel in, you can differentiate yourself from the world and create value for the world. That's your profession. Let's, for example, people say, okay, I want to be a rocket scientist, or want to be a doctor. You ask any kid, what does he want to be? People will say, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a rocket scientist. I want to be a musician, and so on and so forth, or a poet for that matter. But most people land up doing something else. Now, nobody is going to say, I dream to be an accountant, or I dream to become an auditor. But if you got the skill, if you think that you can be a great auditor, then that's your profession. Learn to excel in. Great auditors are people who travel in, not cars, but aeroplanes. And they have their own aeroplanes. And I know people like this. They have their own aeroplanes. Okay, the second is save and invest in a disciplined manner. And I'm going to recommend that this discipline comes through SIPs. Don't trade in stocks, because or in the share market, in options and futures and so on. They might seem very attractive and people might be saying that it will give you 1,000% returns or 500% returns or 200% returns. But the importance is what allows you to focus on your profession and what allows you to be disciplined without giving a lot of attention to it. Third point, everybody can be an investor. One of the things that I thought when I was young or younger, I'm still young, but when I was younger, was that investors are only extremely wealthy people. That's not true. With your first salary, you can be an investor. The rules are: start early with your first salary and invest at least 10%. We talked about this in the last podcast also. If you're getting 10,000 rupees, think you are getting only 9,000 and manage your expenses within that. 10%, whatever it is that you're getting, it might be 5,000, it might be 10,000, it might be 20, 30, whatever. At least 10% you must save. Now you may say, oh, my expenses are XYZ, I can't do this. Well, then bad luck. The mechanics is like this of the wealth equation. But unless you have an investable surplus, unless you create an investable surplus, unless you have the discipline of an investable surplus, you are never going to break the vicious cycle of poverty. Bible says the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So if you are, and when I read this the first time, that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and it was in the Bible. So I said, this rule of God doesn't seem to be very nice. It just doesn't seem to be fair. But that's the mechanics. That's just how it is. And wealth attracts wealth, and poverty attracts poverty. So if you think that you can't save and invest, you will never be able to invest. So you need to begin now. Invest every month, week, or day. Buy security with insurance, first health insurance. And if buying life insurance, buy only term insurance. There are people who think that, if I'm doing insurance, it's a waste. If I live, it's a waste because I'm not going to get the money back. Very, very wrong way of thinking. It's like thinking that my brakes in my car or in my bike are a waste. You need them because there are going to be bumps. And then it is there that it allows you to be free and go with better speed. Or to think that you have locks or security guards. Somebody has a security guard and says, there was no theft and there was no attack. So security guards are the spends on security guard or the expense on a security guard is a waste. Health insurance or term insurance is like that. I wish that nobody needs health insurance and nobody needs term insurance before they are 100 years old, but it is still required. Spend on it, right? And it's just an expense. So the cheaper the expense in which you can get better health and term insurance, invest in that. Remember, you must reduce your expenses. With every LIC that comes with a return, which says that invest and after 20 years we are going to return back the amount that you have been invested. The economics is very, very poor. Don't work with that. The returns are very, very poor. Don't work with that. They build mortality rates into this. It's not a great idea to expect a return on investment on insurances. Okay? With every increment, as you proceed on life, you are going to get increments. Invest a greater percentage with every increment. At least 50% of your increment that you are getting, start to put that. It could be even more. It could be more. It could be 60% or 70% of whatever is the increment amount that you are getting. Put it in your investable surplus. Over a period of time, you should get to a place where you are investing 60%, 70%, 80% of your active income into the investment. It will not happen in the beginning. Beginning is 10%, but as you proceed with life, invest a greater percentage. Continue to increase the percentage that you are investing in. Avoid loans. 100% avoid loans. EMIs are bad in general. Even home EMIs. Most middle class people make the mistake, and I did too. I think it is hilarious. I now laugh at myself that I took home loans thinking that it was a great investment, even though land appreciated. Overall, I've received returns which are fair, but they could have been magnificently better had I known what I know now. So loans are not a great idea. Invest in passive investment assets that give the best returns. So there are multiple assets that are available. Recurring deposit, fixed deposit, and we're going to talk about others very quickly, gold, etc. But you must have an understanding of which investment asset gives you the best return with the least amount of risk. And we are going to talk about how to determine that. So hold this, give all your attention to this. This is going to be quite useful for you. Last but not the least, do not put all your eggs in one basket. Spread the risk. Okay, why am I interested in making you rich or wealthy? The fact is, I'm not. Okay, so the fundamental thing is this life framework. I believe in this, and it's only now. It wasn't that I always understood this when I began my life, but this is ancient wisdom, and it should be. This ancient wisdom is from this land, this culture. It is called Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. It is said that these are the 4 Purusharthas, the places, areas, dimensions in which people must excel, or human beings should work towards. Dharma is your chosen profession. Just like Rajadharma, a leader must have Rajadharma. He must pursue Rajadharma. Similarly, a doctor must have Vaidya Dharma, Krishi Dharma. Every profession has their own code, and you, in following that, is your dharma. So your dharma is, dharma, the word comes from that which upholds, which sustains, which nurtures you. And that's fundamentally in the modern context, and even in the olden one, it is what is your chosen profession. Excel in your chosen profession. Be the best. Be devoted to your dharma. But all of this, dharma, artha, kama, and finally is moksha. I'm not too bothered about the first 3. My interest in talking about this is because I want people to be free. I want myself to be free, and therefore I want others to be free. And I see a lot of people working very, very hard, and then they are still not free. They're working on EMIs. They are taking decisions because somebody is going to give them a 10% more, or if they will leave a good company because they enjoy whatever they are doing, but just because they want something more, 10% or 15%, they quickly change companies and so on and so forth. Bad idea. Your decision to change shouldn't be driven by money. When it happens, then when you start taking decisions on the basis of your dharma decisions or artha decisions or kama decisions because of considerations on money, then money is your master and you are its servant. Money is a very, very poor master, but is an excellent servant. This talk is about how you can get money to be your servant rather than your master. You can be the master of money. So finally, what I want is for everybody, moksha, which is freedom from fear, freedom from the need of money. I need to work because I need to get money. That's not a good reason to work. One, I want to work because, I enjoy doing whatever it is that I'm doing. I don't get paid for this podcast, but I'm enjoying doing this, and therefore I'm doing it. So freedom to do what you want. Now, this is a definition. I asked one very, very wealthy person. He was heading American Express. This was in the year 2001 that I asked him. His name was Sanjay Gupta. He was the leader of that center over there. And I asked him, sir, what's your definition of success? And I loved it. And this resonates with me. Success is not having things. Success is having freedom to do what you want. Success is having the resources so that you are free to do what you want. And finally, peace and stillness. Without all of the above, you cannot acquire peace and stillness. So artha is acquire means, create assets, passive income. Kama is fulfillment of desires, delay in gratification till you acquire the artha. And the highest one, this kama is called desires. But the highest desire of any human being is said to be yasha, fame, recognition. And that only comes when you are exceedingly good at your dharma. That's your highest desire. Okay? All right. So this is I want the best freedom for everyone, and hopefully this will take you towards freedom. Okay, first quiz. What is better for you? Invest 1 lakh rupees and you can open your mics and can speak. What is better for you? Invest 1 lakh rupees and get 10% profit return, or invest 50,000 rupees and get 25% profit or return. Which one is good for you?
Invest 50,000 and get 25% profit.
Option 2, sir.
Everybody?
Option 2.
Option 2, sir. Option 2.
Yes,
पक्का लॉक कर दिया जाए.
sure, sir.
Because the interest rate is 25%.
12,500 will get.
Kishore is also saying 2. Anybody for 1? Okay, the answer I'm going to give you in a moment, right? I'm not going to talk about it now. And now let's look at this. The second quiz. What is better for you? A jewelry chain allows you to deposit 10,000 per month for 11 months, and then allows you to buy jewelry worth 1,20,000 in the 13th month. Second option, same jeweler, deposit 10,000 per month for 22 months and buy jewelry worth 2,40,000 in the 25th month. And finally, a bank offers you to invest 10,000 per month and gives you an annual interest rate of 6% only, and gives you interest every quarter on the amount deposited. So this is like a typical recurring deposit. You might get even more, you might get 6.5% or maybe 7%, etc. also, but I just took 6%. So which one are you going to choose?
Number 3.
Number 1 either, number 2, sir.
Number 3.
Both are gold.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are gold. Number
Yes,
3
both.
is only a recurring deposit.
Gold rate might increase. So I choose for number 1. Number 1 is less, but even though number 2 is the tenure is 22 months, I choose 1 or 2, sir.
So the clarification is the price will not change, right? The gold price, we have to buy the same gold price, whatever it is after 22 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Then
there is gold rate may increase, may not increase, it may decrease. But the fact is, you are on in the 13th month, you will get to buy ornaments at the rate whatever is there on the 13th month.
present day.
Yeah, on that day. That's how it works, right?
Third is the best, according to me.
Why is the third best?
Because the rate of interest, if we add compounding interest, the rate of interest will be very more compared to what the gold people are giving. It's only 10,000. That's it.
It's only 10%, and you are getting only an RD of 6%. RD rate of interest of 6% annual.
Risk is less. There is no risk at all in the third option. But in the first option, there is an option of on that present day, the rate of gold might fall down or might go up.
Askar, what's your opinion?
Sir, actually, I will go with the bank option, because as we calculate the compounding, the amount that we will receive, interested amount will be more, sir. Okay, so the fact is that all of you know mathematics, right? And the fact is that a lot of people I have seen, they invest in this gold kind of thing. A lot of people. Now, all those who are doing this, they do this without understanding what is the return that they are getting on this. Okay, so we talked about a tool called the IRR. Okay, so we talked about what we had done this. Now let's look at the gold scheme. And prior to this, the question number 1, the quiz 1, the answer is it's neither. Let me answer the first quiz. It is neither. Like most things in life, it's not black and white. The true answer is it depends. There's not enough information to make the decision. So let's say, for example, What is missing in this? It is the time frame in which you are getting the return. The 10,000, the 10% that you are getting, you get only 10,000 rupees. If you get it in 1 month, and the 50,000, you get 25% profit, you get it in 5 months. Then, in the first option, you get to turn this around multiple times. So there are businesses which run on just 3% to 4% margin. A lot of retail works on only 3% or 4%. How are they able to do it? Because 3% they are able to do every 3 days. So they are able to turn, they are able to get as much as 30% in a month, right? So it is, what is important is that any investment decision or returns must take into account what is the time frame. Without looking at the time frame, you cannot come to the right conclusion. Yes, Lohit, you have a question.
Oh, sir. Actually, regarding for the second quiz, I just have an example which regarding the gold. Okay, my father, when he got married, he purchased one ring which cost 2,450 something.
Yes.
The same ring still I hold in my hand. Now it costs 50,000.
Yes.
The time frame is almost 30 plus 35 years.
Yes.
So this is what is that a good or bad? I just wanted to know whether investing on the gold.
Yeah, good question. Good question. You now know when he bought it. You also know what is the value now. See what is the return on investment that has got you. Okay.
Now it is 50,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is 25 times more. But
yes.
When did he buy it? That was
35 years before, sir.
Yes. So what is the CAGR that you have received? What is the aggregate? What is the annual rate of return, compounded annual growth rate that you have got on this?
I have to check.
Yes. Without checking, it is very, very difficult to get that. But for you, I will do this. So 50 by 2 is 25, right? 50,000 by 2 over 30 years. So it will be this raised to power 1 by 30, and this is 0.833. Okay, and then this minus 1. What your father got was an 11% rate of interest, a CAGR, compounded annually. Okay, 11%. This comes from which equation? This is the same equation. Fifth one, future value, which is 50,000 by 2,000 was the present value at that time. Yes. So 50 by 2 is 25, raised to power 1 by n, 30 years, which is what we did. So you got 1.11 as a result. Minus 1 will give you the rate of interest on that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You got 11% rate of interest. 11% is that good and ugly?
Yes, sir. Because even if I put it in FD or if I put or RD also, I'll get maximum. If senior citizen, they will get 8% or maximum 9%. If the normal citizen will get 6.5 to 7%, which is FD or RD. Yes. So this gave me 11%. So yes. I saved this. I didn't do anything.
Yeah. Okay, but there are other things which can give better rates of interest.
Yes.
Okay. So let's look at the gold scheme number 1. You invested 10,000 rupees every month. So basically, you had 110,000 rupees that you invested. And in the 13th month, at the beginning of the 13th month, 1 month you did not deposit anything. And the beginning of the 13th month, you can buy stuff worth 1,20,000 rupees. Okay, return, therefore, it's 10,000 by 110,000, which is 9%. On the flip side, the bank deposit, you invest because you can't do a zero in the 12th month. This is an RD. So every month you are depositing 10,000 rupees. Now, this is just an example. 10,000 could be 1,000, 10,000 could be 5,000, etc. But it holds, right? Now the sum invested will be 1,20,000. But what's happening? Look at the total deposited. First month was 10,000, next month was 20,000, next month was 30,000. And then it earns an interest. In an RD, typically they will compute interest on a quarterly basis. So you have, because your interest rate is 6%, you got 500 rupees in the first quarter, then you continue to deposit, you got 14, 15 in the next one, and so on and so forth. Overall, you earned about 7,600 rupees, which is the sum of all of this. You see, 7,600. 7,601. So in the first case, your return is 9%. And the bank RD gives you only 6%. Internal rate of return also in the first case is 1.2%. And in the RD case, it is 0.9%. But as we say, this is just mathematics, this is not reality. What is going to happen is that I would still choose to go with the recurring deposit. Why? Because look at the scheme, what the jeweler has given. The jeweler says you can buy gold or gold jewelry worth or ornaments worth 1,20,000 rupees as on that day. And when they do the jewelry, when they're giving you the jewelry or your women in the house, this is a very famous, this is a very popular scheme. When they give this thing, then they will charge making charges of 10%, some 1 or 2% of gold wastage charge, etc., etc. So what do you really get? You will get gold worth 10% deducted. Now 10 or 11% deducted. Now even if it is just 10% deducted, what gets deducted from here? What do you finally get? 0.9 of this, 1,08,000 rupees. So what you had invested was 1,10,000, but what the jeweler gives you is only 1,08,000 rupees. And he has used your money for the last 10, 11 months. He's made money on you. You think you have done an investment. But the fact is you have done an investment on behalf of the other guy. The 6% return, bad as it may sound, in an RD, it is still actual hard cash. It is not losing money for me. So if you just look at mathematics, the return of, if there was no gold waste loss and no making charges and so on and so forth, no expenses, then the first scheme is better than the RD. Okay. Now let's look at the second scheme. The second scheme is 22 months. I'll deposit 10,000 rupees. And 23rd month, do nothing. 24th month, I will get 2,40,000 rupees worth. What is the internal rate of return? 0.7%. What is the total investment amount? 2,20,000. Returned amount 20,000. Return percentage 9%. Same as in gold scheme 1, right? But it does not account for time. The IRR in this scheme is even lower than the first scheme. But look at what the bank deposit thing, the RD has done. Now you are depositing for 2 years, 10,000 rupees. And therefore you have a total investment of 2,40,000 that you have put in. You get a return of 31,216 because of compounding. And now the IRR in this case, or internal rate of return in this case, is 1%, much better than the gold scheme, even without any, making charges or expenses, etc., etc. In this case, while the jeweler says 2,40,000 you can buy jewelry, again he is going to deduct 10% making charges, vagara, and you will lose 24,000 rupees over there. So when you lose 24,000, all your returns are gone. Actually, you're paying the jeweler for keeping your money. Not a great idea. Now, I talk about this case fundamentally because I see even people in our who I know are doing things like this. Now, this is a sure shot way of it's not a great thing to do for yourself. Okay, so advise people against doing this. So choose an investment option which makes sense, right? Do the mathematics and figure out what the return is. You have the tools now. You can use these tools to figure out which one makes sense. Yes, Abhijit, you have a question. Yes. Right. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely right. So there are multiple schemes which are available. There are multiple tools which are available, and we are going to talk about these tools. Okay, so lessons from the wealthy. So as I said, there are people who are extremely wealthy, but what do they do? What is their common behavior? I've known multiple people. One of the people is the founder of Flipkart. Now he was just starting off that time, and I've interacted with him. But once he became a billionaire, I met him another time, and then he had a professional team of people who were looking after his investments. Okay, now you might think, and he continued to work on whatever he is excelling in, whatever his chosen profession is, building companies and so on and so forth. So professional people, great wealthy folks, or even let's say, for example, Tendulkar would have people who are professional managers who are working and managing his money. Similarly others, actors like Amitabh Bachchan and so on and so forth, they would also have people who would invest their money for them. And then they have professional managers who do, for whom that is their dharma. And these people continue to focus on their dharma, and therefore that is something that that you can excel in. It gives them great satisfaction and fulfillment, not just money. So Amitabh Bachchan would get great satisfaction from being a great actor, not just acquisition of money. And it allows the better actor he becomes, or a better singer that somebody else becomes, or a better dancer that somebody else becomes, increases their active income, or a better auditor, for example, or a better investor. It increases their active income and then gives them also yasha, recognition, which is one of the highest desires for everybody. So have full-time professionals take care of their investments and investable surpluses. Now the question is, so what? When I become wealthy, only then will I do that. And the point is, no. You can do this today. You can do this today. How? There are tools and instruments which are available. So SIPs, they allow you. SIPs is basically a systematic investment plan, and you can do this today on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. And those who now understand the time value of money, tell me this: should you have an SIP which is annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, or daily?
Monthly, sir.
Daily.
Monthly, sir.
If you are given an option to create something daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual, which one would you choose?
Daily. If we have money, then daily, sir. Daily. Monthly.
Now you all have money. Who doesn't have money?
After expenses.
No, not after expenses. First, you need to figure out what is it that you are going to invest, and then divide it, if it is possible, into daily, weekly, or daily and weekly. Because the fact is, I told you, there are businesses which work only on 2% and 3% margin, but they turn it around on a daily basis, 2 days basis, 3 days basis. A 2% or 3% turned around every 3 days gives you 30% on a monthly basis. Do you understand? So the more number of turns, remember, in the equation, this equation. This is N, number of turns, period. So as far as possible, the higher the frequency in which you can do the SIP, better it is. So if you have, let us say, just to give an example, 3,000 rupees to invest. Let's say at the end, if you decide that every month we can save 3,000 rupees, okay? Doing it once in a month is worse than doing it, let's say, 100 rupees every day. Invest 100 rupees every day, 3,000 rupees. That is, so from the first day onwards, your 100 rupees has started to generate returns. So the first one generates returns for 29 days. Second day you put in 100, then 200 rupees are generating returns for 28 days, and so on and so forth. So invest systematically, okay, and higher the frequency, better. Then there are tools like ETFs and mutual funds, the equity linked saving schemes, retirement plans, real estate investment trusts, REITs. So they allow you to do stuff. Let's say you want to buy land. Now, can you buy land for 500 rupees? Can anybody buy land for 500 rupees?
No, sir.
No.
Right.
No.
But now you can. You can with REITs. These are again a tool. You can buy with 500 rupees a share. Can you buy it? The idea is very, very simple. The real estate, you need lakhs of rupees to invest. But you can have fractional ownership. Like, for example, you would need lakhs of crores to buy Reliance, right? But you can get a fractional share of Reliance for 3,000 rupees. It is similar in that sense. So these are tools which are available for you to invest. Just like gold is the underlying commodity for gold ETFs, REITs are the underlying commodity is real estate. Then there are sovereign gold bonds. So know what all these tools are, understand what they do, and then invest in whatever makes sense for you. Okay. Now most of these have professional managers. Now you can't pay for a professional manager. I mean, you have an investable surplus of 3,000 rupees every month. How are you going to pay a professional manager who earns in crores? But the fact is, this guy can be a servant to you, and he gets paid by, or she gets paid by, the returns that they generate. These are mutual fund managers. Their past performance is available to you. You can see it, and you can choose the best one for yourself. Okay, so you can have these professional people working for you. It is their dharma, right, to figure out how to buy and sell and trade and figure out. And what your dharma is to just give the investment and see at some frequency. Like, for example, I'll tell you some of the investments that I did in, I didn't look for years. Didn't look at for years. Invest and forget, something like that. Okay, and then they gave great returns. So what are your considerations? What is the underlying commodity? You must figure out whether the underlying commodity is going to increase in value over time. So, for example, land in India is going to become more expensive. So real estate makes sense. Why? Because people are increasing. We are today 1.4 crores, 1.4 billion. We are going to become 1.6 billion before we start. Before the population starts dropping. Our economy is going to grow. Everybody knows next 10, 15, 20 years, we are going to be the largest and the fastest growing economy. So across the world, so we are going to get more money in, so land is going to become expensive, and so on and so forth. Similarly, gold, Indian economy. How do you invest in the Indian economy? Nifty or BSE, Sensex index. You can invest in the entire Nifty. So there's an ETF or an exchange traded fund which is called the Nifty 50 or the Nifty Bees. These are like baskets of shares, which will reflect their long term, which will reflect their underlying economy, underlying basket. And the sector, you could invest in defense, for example. Defense or power, that there's huge investment which is going over there, or infrastructure, huge investment again going in infrastructure, in railways and in aircrafts and airports and things like that. Then look at past performance consistency. Okay, so don't get into sectors or where that the economy is going to go down. Let's say, for example, that Europe, the economy is going to be going down, right? People are less, and so on and so forth. Even Japan, for example, the past 2 or 3 decades, their economy has remained stagnant. So would you buy the underlying commodity of Japan? Would you buy a Japanese ETF, or would you buy an Indian ETF like the Nifty 50? I would choose the Indian one, not the Japanese one. Past performance consistency. So today gold might have suddenly jumped. Last 1 year it has jumped by 20%. So looks very good. But there are many years where gold has dropped also. So you need to see what is the consistency and what is your risk, appetite. Liquidity. Get into funds which are traded frequently. So for example, you go to a restaurant which is having a lot of people. You don't go to a restaurant where nobody is going over there, right? So it's empty. Expenses and charges. Direct versus regular plans. In regular plans, you for mutual funds you give some money to the broker, right? In direct, you are directly investing with the asset management company, and therefore direct returns are far better than regular plans from the same asset management. Administration costs, taxes. So, for example, I talked about retirement plans. You must start early, as I said, and the best one is after you look at past performance, look at retirement plans, because there are no taxes on the returns. You get, so when at the age of 50, when this money becomes available to you as an annuity, then there is no taxation on this. In all the other places, you need to pay taxes. Flexibility, lock-in periods. ELSS, for example, will lock you down for a period of time. Similarly, the retirement plans will typically lock you in for maybe 5 years or 10 years, something like that, before, or 12 years for that matter. And then you can expect to redeem those. Okay, you will decide what is it that works for you. But I will definitely recommend people to invest in retirement plans, something that they can put in, and then as you grow, you can have other baskets which are available, investment baskets, which are again passive income tools. Okay, now I've given also some tools. I'll just show these tools to you. These are screeners. How do you choose which one is the best? Which one is the best? Mutual fund to choose or ETF to choose, etc. So in these links, you can go over here and you can figure out which fund category. Now, since all of you are young, I won't tell you debt, because debt gives very, very low rates of interest, low rates of returns. You could have equity. For all of you, most of you are young, equity is supposedly high risk. But remember, this risk is not really high risk for you. You are young. Even if one is that these are better tools, because unlike shares, there are shares which will lose 99% of their value. You know that this thing happens. Because these are a basket of shares, they never become zero. And there are managers who are managing it, etc. So even when they say very high risk rating, I don't think they are very, very high risk. So you can continue to invest, but look at past performance. All of this data is there. You can look at 3-year returns, what is there. You can look at 5-year returns, what it is giving, and all of it is available. So there are these funds which are giving 39, 40%, 34%, and so on and so forth. You look what are the kind of returns that they are getting. Okay, 5-year returns, 4-year returns, etc., etc. And it has all of this. What is the fund size? Larger the fund size, the better it is. It's more stable. They have also given a rating. So 5 rating, you can choose only those which are 5 rating. and that's available over here. You can look at that. You can see whether it is large cap, flexi cap, mid cap. I prefer flexi cap because it allows the manager to change from from one share to another, depending on which category is doing well. You will see direct or regular. I've chosen direct only. Don't choose regular. It gives those SI mutual funds also, which are where you can invest less than $100 or 101 to 500 and greater than 500 rupees also as mutual funds. All of this is available. You can choose this, and you can look at expense ratios, which are basically what is being charged by the asset manager. Expense ratio 0.48, 0.08. Choose the one which is the lower one. But fundamentally, you want to choose those which are high quality funds, have given consistent returns over periods of time, not only a 5-year period. Most funds are doing very well over the last 5-year period, but because COVID, right? So it was a lower stance, lower base, and therefore there was a dip, and then they were doing very, very well. But you can choose others. You can see. So this is another link, money control link. What it gives is, it gives you the returns over here. So all data available for you for your research and choosing. And it gives you what is the CRISIL rank. You can choose the ones which are 5. Asset under management, more than 10,000 crores is good. Or even, 5,000 crores is also good. And then it gives you performance over 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. And you can look at which is the one which gives consistent returns. Look at this SBI Contra Fund, 20.45 over 10 years. This is fantastic, phenomenal. And it is, in last 1 year, it is given 50%. But don't expect that it is going to give you 50% over the next 10 years. But you can expect that it will hover around 20%. This one, Quant ELSS Tax Saver Fund, it's giving 27% over 10 years. Phenomenal. 54% this year. And so on and so forth. Okay. So, and definitely to Lohit, which one is better? 22.51% Nippon India Growth Fund or 11%? Which one would you choose?
Nippon India, 22%.
22% over 10 years.
Okay.
Minimum.
Okay.
5 years, 27.71. 3 years, 29.24. 2 years, 29.3. And last 1 year, 53.81.
So, Nippon India, sir.
You will not choose gold then?
No. I'm not going to choose
gold. Got it. Okay. You can also see SIP returns. So it says it is giving absolute returns from period to period. It also gives you what will be the SIP returns that you are getting. So if you are in, and over here the SIP is monthly. So it says what is the return that you would have got in this if you were putting the same amount, not an increasing amount, okay, just the same amount every year. So 10 years SBI Contra, it will double. It will actually triple because this is the return. So 100 plus 212%, it will triple. Your asset value will triple. This will become Quant ELSS, it will become quadruple, and so on and so forth over 10 years. So you can look at these metrics which are available over here. These two websites are quite good. Let me know if there is anybody who uses some other tool and in making these choices, and I'll be happy to learn.
I have Grow app, one thing, and one more link is the screener, which gives the entire to analyze. I'll send you the link.
Sir, investing in like weekly SIP, I have not seen anywhere that allows to invest in weekly basis. The lowest I have seen is monthly only. So where can I check this? Like I can invest weekly.
Very good. Abhijit does it only on a daily basis also.
Sir,
I will tell you this, that
we have a Jupiter
allows you on a weekly basis, which is Zerodha allows you on a weekly basis. But I know that Abhijit has a tool that allows him to do it on a daily basis. Abhijit, do you want to talk about it?
Okay, Jupiter.
Yes.
Okay. No ladies, only gentlemen. I hope you
Pooja is
enjoyed
there,
this
sir.
whole
Pooja
session.
is there.
And this was useful for you and will bring light, love and laughter in your life. Enjoy. Have a great Sunday. Any questions? Any thoughts? Okay, Kishore asks a question. A large cap is any company or set of companies which are 20,000 crores and plus. Mid cap is by definition but not by definition. Actually, the way large caps are defined by India is the first 100 companies, top 100 companies by market capitalization, not by revenue, by market capitalization are called large caps. Mid caps are from 100 to 500 or 100 to 250. I forget which one. And then anything which is lower than 250 is considered to be small cap. The large caps typically will be more than 20,000 crores in market capitalization, which is about $3 billion or so. Mid caps are between 5,000 to 20,000 crores market capitalization, and small caps are those which are less than 5,000 crores. In my view, 5,000 crores is a lot of money. Okay, so if you're smart, even small caps, therefore you see that they're quite stable in giving you the returns. They're called risky, but actually the micro caps, are even smaller. 100 crores and lesser. So we as a group will be lesser than we'll be a micro cap, if you will. But we are not on freely traded, so we can't say any capitalization at all. But we are, so there, if a manager is good, then he can even create a huge amount of wealth with the small caps without much risk. 5,000 crores is a very, very stable company, typically. But not in this case, they are not investing in companies, they're investing in baskets of companies. So even if one company like Paytm goes down, right? Paytm now is going down. A lot of people who invested in Paytm will go, will lose their money. That is typically not going to happen with ETFs and mutual funds. I haven't come across a single one where people will lose everything that they've put in. There might be some times where there's a decrease in some periods of time, and which should be fine. That's what the purpose of the SIP is. When the value of the underlying commodity reduces, you get more for the same value, and therefore when it increases over a period of time, that's what's going to happen to India, that's what's going to happen to gold, that's what's going to happen to real estate, etc. You get to make more money even during the dips. The dips are better period for you to invest. Okay, Kishore Kumar, any other question on this? What you asked another question. What was it that you said?
But it's a apportionment of the investment in a large.
I'm not recommending that. It is good to. So, for example, if I'm starting young, I wouldn't care about large caps at all. Because large caps would typically give you a lower growth rate. Mid caps and small caps would give you a higher growth rate. It's the base effect. So if you're starting young, you can take a higher amount of risk. If you are old, 60 plus, etc., then you don't want to take any kind of risk, and you only want to invest in risk-free stuff, which is basically government bonds. They will give you 6%, 8% tax-free or something like that. You're happy with that, and that's all what you want. But anybody who's you need to take some amount of risk. But I would say that from my perspective, if you are doing an SIP in a good fund over the last, which has done a great performance over the last 10 years or so, and you are dividing your investable surplus in 2 or 3 of those, or 4 or 5 of those mutual funds or ETFs, it's very, very risk-free. Even if one goes down, the other will probably do better. It's unlikely that all of them will do poorly. Okay, yeah, Abhijit, yes.
Yeah. So the fact is that, look, as I shared with you, you can look at all these and see what is the return that you are going to get. Okay. If you are happy with 12%, let's say, for example, if you just invest in Nifty or whatever, or large cap, you might get 15% return. Now, if you're happy with 15%, while there are avenues available which are giving you 27% over a 10-year period, well, so be it. It depends on your risk appetite. Okay, but the point is that this thing is, and your wisdom. Now you have the tools. You can decide what's good for you. I'm not going to tell you. Look at here, as Abhijit was saying, you can have large cap, flexi cap, mid cap. Large cap, you are tying the asset manager into only choosing large caps. Flexi cap, the manager has the ability to switch between, and he decides on your behalf, and they give better returns if there are good managers. So they will use all these kind of tools which you don't need to learn. 25%, 24%, 23%, etc., etc. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was useful. And one more thing, you can look up this one also. This is something called a Sharpie's ratio. It's a good ratio. Learn this up. What this is, and it gives you and what is alpha and beta. These are good metrics to learn about how to choose mutual funds. I think a Sharpie's ratio, if something is giving you greater than 1.8 or nearing around 2, you can use that. Like, let's say, for example, where do you get this? Again, in over here in money control, risk ratios. So they will give the risk ratio by each mutual fund or ETF. It will give you standard deviation, beta, Sharpie's ratio. Now, for example, over here, Axis Quant Fund, it is giving a high standard deviation, and the Sharpie's ratio is less than 1. So it's not too good in comparison to, let's say, SBI Contra Fund, which is 1.78. But don't be fooled only by this. The best thing to look at is these two. These are simple. Don't get bogged down with these different kinds of ratios. These are again good for big people. Returns, just look at the returns and look at the SIP returns over a period of 10 years. 10 years, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever is showing consistency. This is, for example, mid-cap fund, 28% and never been lesser than 28.89%. Good stuff, yeah. Good stuff. This one, 27%, Quant ELSS, minimum. Great. Over the last 10 years. Fantastic. Just remain with this. So you can choose this, use this tool, and use the SIP returns. Just use these two tools. If you want to learn more, then you can learn various metrics. But this, by and large, and common sense will give you the best ones to choose for yourself. Okay? It gives you assets under management, returns over years. You can now make your choice. All right, gentlemen. I hope this was good for you, was useful, and wish you great wealth and freedom. Most importantly, freedom. Be free. Be free of the need of money. Have money as a good servant. Don't be a servant to money. Be the master. Be free. Surya Jasvi Nama.